Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You ready to get spooky?
Always. Always.
Okay, so this week we're diving into the death of Edgar Allan Poe,
Oh,
one of literature's
the
most...
master of the macabre himself.
Yeah, and I gotta say,
Yeah.
the truth is stranger than fiction.
And I think that's what's so fascinating about this one in particular is that we're not just dealing with the death, we're dealing with like an icon, you know? It's Edgar Allan Poe.
Like, you can't get much bigger.
Like literally the father of the detective story.
Right.
The master of the macabre, he's the poet who gave us The Raven and
Yeah.
all these tales like The Telltale Heart and The Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah, those are big ones.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy how his own story ends.
Yeah.
With just as much mystery and intrigue as any of his tales.
It really is.
So it's 1849 in Baltimore, and Poe, at the young age of 40,
That's young.
right?
Yeah.
He's found delirious in a tavern, and then just a few days later, he's gone.
Whew.
And the official cause of death, unknown.
Yeah, it's like stepping into one of his stories.
I know. I totally agree.
Like the sources you've dug up for this one,
Oh my gosh.
they're so good and so juicy, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, they're full of like conflicting accounts and missing medical records.
Yeah.
And just a whole bunch of different theories that are plausible.
Yeah.
But then there's some that are just bizarre.
Oh, yeah, like way out there.
Okay, so let's unpack this puzzle.
Okay.
Our mission today is to retrace Poe's final days and examine the evidence
Okay.
and see if we can figure out what really happened.
Ooh, yeah, like fact from fiction. I love it.
Can we shed some light on how one of literature's most brilliant minds
Yeah.
met such a shadowy end?
That's the question, right?
Right. Like how
It's Poe. Like, how does that even happen?
Right.
So,
I know.
okay, so to start,
Yeah.
I think we need to try to like establish a timeline, like piece together his last movements.
Okay.
So in the summer of 1849,
Yeah.
he was in Richmond, Virginia,
Okay.
recovering from what he said was a cholera attack.
Oh.
And working on like new literary ventures, even giving lectures.
Oh, wow. Can you imagine like being in the audience for one of his lectures?
Oh my gosh.
Given how much he loved being so dramatic.
Oh, it would have been amazing.
It's been quite a performance.
Totally. And then in late September, he heads off to New York.
Oh, New York.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe
A fresh start.
a fresh start.
Yeah, like maybe a new job.
Yeah.
Even had plans to get remarried.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like he really was
Yeah.
looking for a fresh start.
Like he was ready to turn things around.
But here's where the trail runs cold.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Like this week-long gap in our knowledge.
Right.
Nobody really knows where he is
Right.
until that fateful day in October when
Yes.
he turns up
Yes.
in Ryan's Tavern in Baltimore.
Delirious.
Yeah.
And disorienting.
Yeah, and this is where things get really murky. So we
Nasty.
have this letter
Yeah.
from a Joseph W. Walker
Okay.
who found Poe like in distress.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he reached out to Poe's acquaintance Joseph Snodgrass
Okay.
for help.
Okay.
But their descriptions of Poe are so different at this time.
It's so weird.
It's wild.
Right. Especially Snodgrass.
Oh, yeah.
He paints a not so flattering picture of Poe.
He describes him as like repulsive and unkempt.
Unkept.
Yeah, and he's wearing clothes that don't even seem to fit him.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like he was a totally different person.
I know, right?
Right.
It's like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And then on top of that,
Yeah.
have the testimony of Dr. John Moran,
Yeah. Who was like
Poe's attending physician.
Poe's physician at Washington College Hospital.
Right.
And even he mentions like Poe's clothes being all worn and ill-fitting.
Yeah. And he even suggested that they might not even belong to Poe.
Yeah, that's so weird because Poe is usually
so put together.
so put together.
Yeah, and such attention to detail.
Right.
But
I know it's strange.
Super strange.
Right. Okay, so what do we make of Dr. Moran's testimony?
Well, that's tricky because while he gives us like the most detailed account
Yeah.
of Poe's last days,
Yeah, he does.
his credibility has kind of been called into question.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
So, like, what do you mean by that? Like,
yeah, his accounts are,
yeah.
they're just inconsistent.
Inconsistent how?
Like dates change.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And Poe's last words are different depending on when he tells the story.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And he claims to have gotten in touch with Poe's family immediately,
Yeah.
but we know from other sources that just didn't happen.
Oh, my goodness. So,
Yeah.
red flag.
Huge red flag.
Right.
Yeah. And to make matters worse, There's no documentation
Bro.
backing any of this up.
Wow. So no death certificate, no hospital records.
It's like Poe's final days were deliberately shrouded in secrecy.
So what was Moran's motive?
Right.
What really happened?
What's going on here?
Are we dealing with just a doctor trying to protect himself?
Yeah.
Or is there something else going on?
Yeah, like something more sinister.
Yeah.
Right?
And that leads us
Like what really killed him?
to the million-dollar question.
Right.
That's the one everybody wants to know.
Right.
What happened to Poe?
Okay.
So
Are we ready to dive into the theories?
let's do it.
Buckle up, listeners, because this is going to be a wild ride.
It's going to be good.
Okay, so let's start with the most popular one.
Yep.
Alcoholism.
Yeah.
Alcoholism, given Poe's,
He's got
literary themes.
Yeah, and the circumstances.
And how he was found.
Yeah.
It's a hard theory to just ignore.
It makes sense on the surface,
Right.
but it's not that simple, right?
No, not really.
Not
Even Moran,
Moran.
despite all the questions around him,
Yeah.
he denied the alcoholism theory.
Really?
Yeah, he claimed there wasn't even a trace of alcohol on Poe's breath.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we know from other sources that Poe could, abstain from alcohol for long periods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's the drug overdose theory.
Yes. The classic drug overdose,
Right.
which a lot of people link to that.
That incident with laudanum,
Yeah.
that almost killed him.
The year before.
The year before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that theory's also been challenged, right?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Okay.
Thomas Dunn English.
Thomas Dunn English.
Poe's physician friend.
His physician friend.
Yeah, he insisted that Poe just wasn't a drug user.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with
A whole bunch of other possibilities.
all these other theories.
Yeah.
Like rabies,
Yeah.
heart disease,
Yeah.
cholera,
Yeah.
even a brain tumor.
All on the table.
Okay, and then there's one
Yeah.
that I'm kind of fascinated by.
This is a good one.
Cooping.
Cooping.
Okay, so for our listeners who don't know,
Yeah.
cooping was this voting scam
Yeah, like a total scam.
where they would drug people.
And then they would make them vote over and over again.
Oh my gosh.
And they would often dress them in clothes that didn't fit.
That's so creepy.
Right, I know.
And it kind of aligns with
It does.
Poe's condition.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, but the problem is
Yeah.
we just don't have the medical records or reliable firsthand accounts
Right.
to back any of this up.
So we're left
Grasping at straws.
grasping at straws.
Yeah.
It's like Poe, the master of suspense,
I know.
has crafted his own
His own little
real-life mystery.
mystery.
Right.
Yeah.
Leaving us to grapple with the shadows.
It's perfect.
Speaking of shadows,
Ooh.
there's one more figure
Yeah.
we need to talk about.
Okay.
Rufus Griswold.
Ah, yes.
This is where the story gets really gothic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
lay it on me.
Okay.
What's the deal with this Griswold factor?
Okay, so Rufus Griswold was
Yeah.
Poe's arch rival.
His arch rival. Oh, yeah. Another writer.
Okay.
Like a competitor in the literary world.
I see.
And guess what?
What?
He becomes Poe's literary executor.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Talk about adding insult to injury. I know.
That's crazy. It's almost too perfect.
I know.
Like it's something out of
Yeah.
one of Poe's stories.
One of his tales of revenge.
Yeah.
Totally. And Griswold did not disappoint.
What does he do?
So right after Poe dies,
Yeah.
he publishes this scathing obituary.
Oh no.
I know. And he uses the name Ludwig.
Ludwig.
Yeah, like a fake name.
A pseudonym.
Yes.
Okay.
And he portrays Poe as like this brilliant but erratic and arrogant and volatile guy.
Volatile.
Yeah.
So it sounds like.
Like he had an axe to grind.
Yeah.
Was it just professional jealousy?
That's a good question.
Or was there something more?
Yeah. I mean, people are still debating that.
Okay, so he doesn't stop there, does he?
Oh, no.
What else does he do?
He goes on to publish what was, for a long time, like the definitive biography
Of Poe.
of Poe.
And it's not good.
No.
Okay.
It's like the opposite of good.
So he basically used his position as executor
Yeah.
to destroy Poe's image.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. He portrays Poe as like this depraved, drug-addled madman.
Oh my gosh, it's like a real life
I know.
literary horror story.
It's perfect.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
If people knew Poe personally,
Yeah.
why would they let Griswold
Yeah.
get away with this?
Well, a lot of them didn't.
Okay.
They called Griswold out
Oh.
and said he was making stuff up.
Okay.
But Griswold's biography was everywhere.
Oh, I see.
And for a while,
Yeah.
it was the only one out there.
So people just believed it.
I mean,
How?
especially if they didn't know Poe personally.
Right.
Yeah, and let's be honest.
Yeah.
The image of like a tortured, eccentric genius
Yeah.
fueled by alcohol and opium,
Yeah.
that's a pretty captivating image.
Eric.
It fits the like romantic artist trope.
Right.
Right?
It totally plays into like the image we still have of Poe today.
Exactly.
So like brooding, dark figure.
It's like Griswold accidentally created the Poe myth
Yeah.
that we all know and love. And that's like the really scary part about all of this.
Yeah.
Whether he meant to or not,
Yeah.
Griswold's character assassination has really affected how we see Poe.
Wow.
It's like he cast this huge shadow over his legacy,
Yeah.
and we're still trying to figure out
Yeah.
what's true and what's not.
So given all these conflicting accounts and the missing evidence
Yeah,
and Griswold's influence,
I know it's a lot.
how do we even begin to separate fact from fiction?
That is the challenge, isn't it?
It is.
And maybe that's why people are still so fascinated by Poe.
It's definitely making this deep dive a lot more intriguing.
It's a good one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what have we learned so far?
Okay, so we've got conflicting accounts,
Yeah.
missing evidence,
Yep.
and Griswold's
Oh, yeah. Griswold.
vindictive portrayal of Poe,
Right.
just to complicate everything.
It seems like the mystery of Poe's death
Yeah,
is just as tangled and eerie as the tales that he wrote.
I know.
Right.
That's perfect.
But perhaps that's fitting
Yeah.
because Poe's stories often dealt with
Yeah.
the blurred lines between reality and perception
Totally. Yeah.
and the unreliable narrator
Oh my itch, yeah.
and the haunting power of the unknown.
All of that.
And it's almost as if his own life
Yeah.
became a final,
I know.
unsettling reflection of
That's-
his literary themes.
That's like he did it on purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up this part of our deep dive
Okay.
into the mystery of Edgar Allan Poe's death.
Okay.
But we're going to leave you with this.
Okay.
Given everything that we've just uncovered,
Yeah.
all those conflicting accounts and that lack of evidence,
Right.
and Griswold's,
Influence.
influence,
Yeah.
how can we even begin to separate fact from fiction?
I mean, that's a great question.
Right.
And that's the challenge of
Yeah.
dealing with a figure like Poe.
Yeah.
But I think what you've done already is amazing.
What do you mean?
You've like examined those primary sources, weighed their biases.
Yeah.
And now you're equipped to really think critically about his life and death.
So you're saying we're not going to walk away with a neat and tidy answer,
Yeah.
like a simple solution,
No.
like one of his detective stories.
Right. Like, this isn't just about solving a puzzle.
Nah.
It's about recognizing the complexity of history
Yeah.
and how literary history can be shaped by interpretation and perspective
Right.
as much as by like hard facts,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
We're dealing with narratives within narratives.
Yeah.
Much like Poe himself often presented in his work.
Yeah, okay, so, but what do we do with all these conflicting versions of Poe?
Yeah.
The alcoholic, the madman, the victim,
Right.
the literary genius.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to process.
Yes. You hold them all in your mind
Okay.
simultaneously.
Okay.
You acknowledge the contradictions,
Okay.
the uncertainties,
Yeah.
and you embrace the mystery.
Yeah.
It's what makes him so fascinating.
Yeah.
Maybe the ambiguity is part of his legacy.
It makes me think about
Yeah.
how he explored the unreliable narrator in so many of his tales.
Yeah, totally.
Like The Telltale Heart,
Yeah, classic.
where the narrator is like so convinced of his own sanity.
Yeah, he's like, I'm totally fine.
Right.
But he's clearly not.
And his actions
Yeah.
betray
Yeah.
a descent into madness.
Exactly.
Are we, as biographers, as readers, trying to
Yeah.
decipher the truth?
Yeah.
From narrators who might themselves be unreliable
Oh, yeah, for sure.
or influenced by their own agendas.
Totally.
Right.
That's a brilliant insight.
Oh,
Because,
thanks.
I mean, it's like we're experiencing the telltale heart of Poe's biography.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like each account reveals something, but it also conceals something.
Right.
And we're left questioning and probing and searching for a truth
Yeah.
that might always be just out of reach.
And the fact that Griswold,
Oh, yeah.
his
The
rival,
ultimate frenemy.
had so much control over his image after his death.
Yeah.
That's like
Wow.
the ultimate irony.
It's like Poe himself scripted this. Like
Yeah.
he knew this was going to happen.
It adds another layer of unreliability,
Right.
of blurred perception
Totally.
to the whole story.
It's like he's challenging us
Yeah.
to question everything.
Yeah.
Look beyond the surface and find meaning in the shadows.
Just like he did in his writing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe in that act of questioning, in that search for truth within the shadows, we actually come closer to understanding him.
Oh, the man.
Yeah, the man and the artist.
Okay, so this makes me think about the Cask of Amontillado.
Ooh, Amontillado.
Where the narrator, Montresor,
Yeah.
meticulously plans his revenge.
Oh, yeah.
Burying his victim alive within the catacombs.
It's brutal.
Right.
Yeah.
Is Griswold, in a way, trying to bury Poe's true self?
Ooh, that's good.
Beneath all these layers of fabrication and misrepresentation.
That's a chilling but insightful parallel.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Griswold's actions, whether he meant to or not, really did obscure Poe's true character.
Yeah.
And like in the Cask of Amontillado, we as readers are left to unearth the truth, like brick by brick from this literary crypt.
So it's like we're on an archaeological dig.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
For Poe's true self.
It's a good one.
Okay, so as we continue to explore Poe's world, maybe the real journey isn't about finding like a definitive answer to how he died.
Yeah.
But more about understanding the power of narrative.
Yeah.
The way stories can be shaped and manipulated and even weaponized.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it's up to each of us as readers, as investigators of history, to approach these narratives with a critical eye.
Right.
To question the motives.
Of the storytellers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And ultimately draw our own conclusions.
It's almost poetic that the master of the macabre
I know.
left us with such a macabre mystery.
It's perfect. It's like his death became his final, most elaborate puzzle.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Unreliable narrators.
Yeah.
Hidden truths.
Yeah.
The power of suggestion.
Yeah.
Are we his readers like trapped in one of his tales?
Wow.
Right.
You're right. It's like we're living in a Poe story.
I know.
We're searching for answers.
Yeah.
But maybe the journey itself, the grappling with uncertainty, is the real point.
That's the point.
Right.
Yeah, and that brings us to like an important takeaway for our listeners. As you like dig deeper into Poe's world, remember this. The mystery of his death may never be fully solved. But maybe that's the point. Maybe we're meant to be left with the same unsettling questions that his stories evoke. Are we like Poe's characters, ultimately trapped by our own perceptions and the elusive nature of truth?
This has been an incredible journey.
It's a good one.
And it's amazing how exploring the mystery of Poe's death opens up all these other fascinating discussions about his work and his life.
Right.
And just the nature of truth and perception.
It really is. It's a testament to his enduring power as a writer.
Yeah.
Even in death, he continues to captivate us and challenge us.
Yeah.
And make us question the world around us.
So where do we go from here?
That's the question, right?
We've explored the timeline and looked at all the theories.
Yeah.
We talked about how Griswold messed with Poe's image.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
What does it all mean for us?
Yeah. Good question.
Like as readers.
Yeah.
As people who love Poe's work.
I think it means that we have to become active participants in shaping his legacy.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Like, we can't just accept the version of him that's been presented by others. Even those who supposedly knew him best.
Right.
We have to go back to those primary sources.
Yeah.
Weigh the evidence and come to our own conclusions.
It's like we're being invited to join Poe's detective Dupin.
Oh, I like that.
In unraveling a mystery.
Yeah.
We have the clues and the red herrings.
Yeah.
The unreliable witnesses.
It's all there.
And now it's up to us to piece it all together.
You got it.
You know, this whole deep dive has really made me appreciate Poe on a whole new level.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
He wasn't just a great storyteller.
No.
He was a master at blurring the lines between reality and fiction.
Totally.
He makes us question what we think we know.
Yeah, and he's still doing that today.
I know, it's crazy.
Like over 170 years after his death.
That's the beauty of Poe's work, right?
Yeah.
It's timeless and thought-provoking.
And open to interpretation.
Yeah.
And the mystery of his death.
Yeah.
It just adds another layer to his legacy.
Yeah, another dimension to his artistry.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So what would you say to someone who's just starting to read Poe?
Oh, good question.
What advice would you give them?
I would say approach his work with an open mind.
Okay.
Be curious.
Okay.
And be prepared to be unsettled.
Okay, yeah.
Don't be afraid to question what you read.
Right.
Delve beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And embrace the ambiguity.
I like that.
Remember, Poe wasn't afraid to explore the darker aspects of humanity.
Yeah.
Like, he confronted those anxieties and fears that we often try to suppress.
Yeah, and in doing so, he created work that is still so relevant today.
Exactly.
He's giving us permission to explore those darker corners of our own minds.
Yeah, like those shadows within ourselves. And maybe in that exploration, we can understand ourselves and the world a little better.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
It really has.
And I feel like I've learned so much about Poe.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy.
The mystery of his death might never be solved.
Probably not.
But the journey was definitely worth it.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
So to all our listeners out there,
yeah,
as you delve into Poe's tales of mystery and macabre, remember the mystery of the man himself.
It's all connected.
Embrace the questions and the uncertainties,
the
echoes of his life.
It's all part of the experience.
You might even find yourself unraveling a few mysteries of your own.
Ooh, that's good.
Until next time, happy reading.
And happy sleuthing.